just thinking of the miles of railway that we've wasted in this country. I do apologise.
Quite all right.
Bernard Mills spent 55 years working on the railways, plus he's been part of the Plymouth Railway Circle since 1963. So that was, I was born in 62, so you were, when I was 1, you were beginning to...
16, I was 16 then.
Okay. What is it? What is the Plymouth Railway Circle?
It's a society that exists basically for those interested in railways. And I'm talking about the whole spectrum of railways, you know, not just what's on the front of the train, the history, foreign railways, you name it, we cover it.
When you look at Devon, there are communities that have been built up and were, past tense, dependent on railways. That fantastic line to North Devon, something is a cluster of houses or a platform or whatever.
I know, sad, isn't it?
Well, this is it, because you then go through a village where the station house is now somebody's home. What was the one? A friend of mine actually bought it. Fridford, Christo line.
There's lots of examples like that, yeah. Tavistock North, you know, that's been restored, but it's, you know, somebody's home and it's part let as holiday cottages.
Well, yeah, a friend of mine lives at Rangerton Holt, and in fact, I was having dinner in what would have been the ticket area, and the arch is still there where you went through and you bought the tickets. What does the Plymouth Railway Circle do? Do you meet on a regular basis?
We meet every other Monday at St Edward's Church Hall, which is Home Park Avenue, Peveril, Plymouth. And the next meeting is tonight with Richard Jones, who's been about a bit in railway preservation. He's been involved with West Somerset Bomb. He's talking on his experiences on 50 years in railway preservation. And the next meeting, in a fortnight's time, 4 of the members, of which I am one, we're each doing a half-hour slot on our best railway photography.
Oh, right.
And then at the meeting after that, John Fitzgerald will be giving he's a very knowledgeable man about the railways of Switzerland.
Blimey.
And then a fortnight after that, one of the members is doing, he did a lot of, John Truscott did a lot of tape recordings of steam in the 60s. And what he does is he plays his tape recorder so we can hear the steam, and I then project the nearest photograph I've got to match the scene they're listening to, sort of steam and still.
Fantastic. Things like Black 5 would have been...
Oh yeah, well in this area there will be some Black 5s going over Shat and the settle in Carlisle, because I did photograph all that in the 60s. And local stuff as well. Like, I mean, one of the recordings I know is of a standard 73 coming out of Mutley Tunnel. Now I have a cutter slide of a standard 73 coming out of Mutley Tunnel.
Hang on, for those that don't know, what is a standard 73?
One of the standard, the BR standard classes, which were built in the early 50s.
Yes.
Came in various forms, and the 73, the series are numbered in the 73 standard 5 basically. They were standard class 5. It was the BR version of a LMS Black 5.
LMS Black 5, 26. Now, what would this configuration be?
You're asking me something now.
260?
No, Black 5. Was it Black 5? 462, I think.
462. See, this somewhere upstairs is my editor going, oh, God, he's off again. Don't worry about it. What is your favourite engine?
What, my favourite class of engine?
Favourite class of engine? Come
Western
on.
class diesel.
No, not diesel.
Western class diesel, the most magnificent machines ever produced.
You can't gloss over Sir Nigel Gresley.
If it hasn't got made in Swindon stamped on the side of it, I don't know much about that.
That's Swindon.
The Westerns were the last flowering of Western independence. Long story, but the diesel hydraulic era, that is the most, in railway enthusiasm, the nostalgia is for that period of the change from the 60s to the 70s.
I still think there's the lines of the Mallard, the Silver Fox, which they managed to scrap, I think. It went to all things, to Barry Docks, to Choptop.
No A4s were scrapped at Barry.
Where would they have gone?
Well, somewhere in the northeast, I would have thought.
Great shame.
Without looking the records up. I mean, yes, Silver Link is an engine that should have made it into preservation. Then there's a lot of others. No Grange class engines were saved. You take the Great Western 460, the Grange class is a 68 number series. And I remember Bodycote Grange, 6870, plying its way, Plymouth to Penzance. No Granges were saved. And yet, we've got, I don't know, 10 Manors were saved, because Manors by the way things worked out was scrapped at Barry, and as we all know, the man at Barry didn't immediately scrap them or cut them up.
No.
That's
No.
the only reason why the engine there's imbalance in preservation. Now the Great Western Society did got a building a new Grange.
Are they by heavens?
Yes, they've completed a site this year. I haven't seen it yet. I'll go and see it one day. But
Well, I was very impressed when the tornado rolled out. Somebody put an awful lot of love and money.
well, that was a new build again to the original design.
Okay. Can anyone come along to see you?
Yes, our meetings our annual subscription is £15.
Yeah.
And the members then pay a £1 entry fee, and any visitors we charge a £2 entry fee, and after 3 meetings we would ask you to become a member then. And the meetings are not just the talk. There's a discussion on the latest railway events, what's happening locally. Like, for example, if there's a rail tour coming, or we know there's a stock move, say a redundant HSD going from Lara, like there was one went this morning up to Long Martin for storage. Can sort of give out the information people want, what's happening on the South Devon, the Plymouth Valley Railway. There's things happening there. I'd like to say what's going on. Their new build will be, but I'll let them. Their new acquisition, I'll let them do that. But we discussed the whole spectrum really.
I know there's big railcar running events coming up at South Devon Railway, because Dick Wood has emailed me over the weekend and has asked me to attend. Be very kind. Oh, actually, lovely. Some of them, but you're definitely a diesel, not a steam man.
No, I'm interested in what's on the rails.
Beautiful.
Interested in what's on the rails, and the romance of railways is the steam. People look at the steam age through rose-covered.
Oh, they do. Rose-tinted glasses.
Rose-tinted glasses. Now I remember, I'm going back, to the 80s and that sort of era when I was, working. I used to take, when railwaymen retired, I used to take the photograph of the presentation for them. And then, we would give them a print out. And I remember one, Sam Colton, I think it was, he was retired, he retired as a ticket collector. And he had started at Lara in the 60s, or in the early 60s. And he said, you were out on the ash pits, 3 o'clock on a November morning, filth and dirt everywhere.
Yeah.
People were glad to see the back of it.
Let's ignore the track fires and just how much smoke and soot they threw into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
There was as I say, you do look at it through rose tinted. I saw 2 of them, one being the tornado coming up a slope from Liscar in Cornwall, and you could see the smokestack from about 5 miles away.
Yeah, wonderful, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
You have steam engines, it's a wonderful sight, and if you went around sheds, like say you went around some of the London sheds, like I did, like Willesden, or Stewart's Lane, or 9 Elms, there was this pall of smoke over it, and filth and dirt everywhere, and engines emitting. I mean, Greta and her companions were going to convulsions over all this,
Well, I know my old postman, sadly no longer with us, but he remembers the Mallard being on a rolling road at Oakham Common, flat out, because they were testing the boiler pressures.
That was at Rugby. The test plant was at Rugby.
Was it he said Oakham, was it Oakham Common? There was no rolling road there?
No, the rolling road with the test plant was at Rugby.
Perhaps you could hear it in Oakham Common.
Well, maybe well yeah. Old Oak Common.
Old Oak, yeah.
Flattened, no more.
All gone.
Oh, make way for HS2.
He also remembered some of the posters from GWR being used to light the boilers in the old days, which was such a shame, because those posters now go for between £500 and £2,500 each.
That's right, yeah. I've got some up in the loft.
Have you, by Jove? Oh, there's a little smug smile there. Lovely. St Edward's Church Hall, Home Park Avenue, Plymouth, 7:30?
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight?
And then every fortnight after that, basically. We would love to see new members, because our numbers are getting smaller. And it's a chance for railway enthusiasts to get together, meet, have a good evening, have a cup of tea, listen to the local railway gossip, catch up on events, and sit down, with a different presentation every fortnight. As I say, covers the whole spectrum of the railway interest, because the railway is a very interesting thing. It interests a lot of people in many, many ways. There's people who love steam, people who love, well, all facets of it, how it works, the signalling. I mean, I know railway enthusiasts who collect wagon numbers. You hear about train spotting. Well, some of the local enthusiasts sort of know what the numbers of cement wagons are on the Mooreswater cement, things like this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the whole spectrum. It's a wide ranging subject, you know, and it annoys you when people sort of dismiss train spotting as some amateurish hobby or something to be ridiculed, when, you know, it gives a lot of people a lot of pleasure.
Part of society, part of culture. Bernard, may your firebox be ever warm.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to touch on Dawlish, or are you thinking of your blood pressure?
Well, what I would like to see happen at Dawlish is, just before the war, the Great Western obtained an Act of Parliament. Preliminary work started on an inland route from more or less Bishopsington to Exminster. In other words, there was an inland route planned behind Teignmouth and Dawlish.
Right.
And it had not been for the war, that would have been built. Now,
Yeah.
if they were to resurrect that plan, and I don't think it involves any major tunnelling under Holden,
No, that would be.
you would have an inland route avoiding Teignmouth and Dawlish, keep the present line as a single track, and before the councillors go into convulsions, 5 miles a single track. You could still run your half-hourly Devon Metro service each way. That would still give capacity for the odd express going into Dawlish. And if you ran it, the single track from Dawlish Warren down to Dawlish on the side furthest away from the sea, you would then have that extra leeway for more defence. And once it's come out of the tunnels at Teignmouth, your single track would then be on the seaward side, which gives you, if you like, the width of the present other double track to do further strengthening. And you think of the money they would save on putting a railway in the middle of the sea at Teignmouth, you know, that money could be used. They could have the best of both worlds. I don't suppose anybody's thought of it, and no doubt the politicians and everybody else will come up with any excuse why it can't do. But that's the way I would go, and then still reopen the old Oakhampton line to serve a great number of people, and that would still then give you the backup for whenever that line's closed for any reason, and we would have the best of both worlds. We have the best of 3 worlds, and it could all be done within 5 years.
Bernard, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Yeah.